Good morning, everyone. Um, there's still a bit of confusion about how to submit and what you submit and all that. So I'm going to go over it again and go a little bit more detail with it. It's kind of a rambly video because a lot of my videos are rambly, and I'm already starting, so let's not do that. But I'll try to be more direct, uh, be more to the point here. So I'm just going to use this because it's a lot shorter path. The last one was kind of like I wasn't prepared for where it was. Honestly, it was in the repos directory. I think I had repos set up a while back or something, but forget. But this one's just the C Sharp 2015. So if you downloaded all those files, that one, well, shoot, let me pause. So if you remember having seen this little item, textbooks exercises, and the recommendation to put them in C Sharp 2015, that's what I'm talking about. So I've got that folder here. And if you open it up, there's a few, I don't know which ones you have. I've got instructor stuff or whatever, but let's just do book applications. So let's say we're in chapter 7 now, I think. So maybe one of these examples. So here's what I want to do. I want to show you the anatomy of a project. Here's the main thing you need to get out of this is that every Visual Studio project, the ones we're doing anyway, in C Sharp, has its own folder devoted to it. And everything inside that folder, it's both required and meant what it's meant everything involves that solution. You need everything in there. Technically 100% that's not true, but for the most part everything you need for the project is in that folder. So this is chapter 7, future data with validations, one of the projects. If I open that up, you see these are the contents of the project folder. This .slm file is not necessary and sufficient. Well, it is necessary. It's not sufficient though, because this is all it is. Like I open this up, what am I looking at? Right? This is auto-generated. This is got information about, like, you can have more than one project in a solution technically. This is just telling me what the project is for this one. You should probably have at least one. They both have the same name. So solutions are not the same as projects in Visual Studio, technically speaking, but for our purposes in this class, they are, because you always have one project and one solution. Again, you can have multiple projects in one solution later on and get fancier. This has just got, like, the version of Visual Studio. It's just header information, it's configuration, setup, whatever you want to call it. There's a name for it. It escapes me right, but it's a config file. It doesn't have your code in it, so that's not adequate to submit. You need to zip up this whole folder. So let me show you. If you go down one more level for future value, that's the name of the project. You see what you've got down here are the code files. Every time I need to update that. See, this is like where you might be writing and stuff. Some of the stuff you when you write code, it's going to appear. Mainly we're going to be looking at whatever Form 1 used to be. They didn't rename it in this example, but this is not my code. But it'll be whatever futurevalue.cs, what have you, and what you wrote in C# will be in that file. That's the main file I'll be looking at. Program.cs at this point in the game is auto-generated for you. All right, to cough. Auto-generated for you. Designer is too. When you make all those changes on your form, it auto-generates code. So I won't be looking at those as much. I'll be looking at I'll open it up and run it in Visual Studio, but mainly I'll be looking at your code here. If you notice, these things are strictly speaking not necessary if you don't have all this stuff in the debug, in the bin folders in general. You see how bin debug, and sometimes you'll have bin release. Those are not necessary, actually, the contents of those folders to submit, because they're just binaries that you can compile from the source code anyway. So I'm not asking you to get rid of them. Especially with the size of these programs, it's not adding a big footprint to the zip. But if you wanted to, you could go in and delete the code inside of the bin folders and the obj folders too. But I definitely need so just the best bet is don't delete anything, and just here's what you do one more time. whatever the name of your project folder is, or your solution folder is, right click, go down to send to, and then compressed zip folder. This is the only acceptable way to submit. If Windows built-in zip utility, unzip utility, is able to unzip it, that's great. However you do that, that's great. But I will not accept .rar. I will not accept .7z and all that garbage, because that requires me to go do something. Like, listen, think about it. Just because you got some shareware doesn't mean I did. So this is built into Windows, and I have no need in my life for 7-zip and WinRAR unless there's something I really want to get. I'm like, oh, it's just a RAR. Now I have to go install some shareware to download it. 7-zip's got a free option, I know, but I don't want that garbage on my computer. So .zip built into Windows, please. I mean, not a lot of people are doing that, but there's always a few every semester. So if you have any questions about this process, again, if you're just submitting, if you're zipping up and there's just one thing in it, namely this, I've got a couple of those as submissions. That's not got any of your work in it. So please, the whole folder with everything inside of it, notably these things. These are the things I'll be looking at, the .cs stuff. All right. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Send me an email. Thanks.